Part 52. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 511. Chapter 511. It's not necessary for Momo to find someone to keep an eye on her, but you'd better be careful. Jinrun's character will never give up on his case so simply. Even if the case is closed, it is very likely that the case will be overturned in the end. Okay, I understand. Sister Nan, please help me keep an eye on Mo Ziwiyu and Mo Zhongxiang knew that Lai Nan had connections there, so she didn't care about anything as long as Mo Ziwiyu went to prison safely. After talking to Lai Nan on the phone, Mo Zhongxiang looked at Su Yuan's, his eyebrows full of joy. Husband, are you happy now? Su Yuan's pulled the car over to the side of the road, stared at Mo Zhongxiang, pinched her little face, and raised her thin lips. You said I am unhappy, but I didn't show it clearly enough. Mo Zhongxiang kissed him on the lips, but you didn't smile to me. Do you think I'm just trying to make a joke? Su Yuan's bit her lip. If you don't want to smile for me, then who do you want to smile for? Mo Zhongxiang muttered. I am willing to smile for you. Su Yuan's widened the corners of his mouth, and still smiled like Mo Zhongxiang. Ha ha ha. Mo Zhongxiang looked at Su Yuan's smile and smiled from ear to ear. It's such an ugly smile. I am also your person. We have verified it. Su Yuan's kissed her lips and said fiercely. I never thought about returning the goods. Mo Zhongxiang hugged Su Yuan's and said with a smile. Fairy, are you trying to seduce me here? Seduce me, Su Yuan said fiercely. Mo Zhongxiang's black eyes rolled, and he put his hands around Su Yuan's hand. Then you accept my seduction? Do you want to seduce me? Su Yuan's kissed her cheek. This is not the right place. Let's go home. Su Yuan's let go of Mo Zhongxiang and sat back in the driver's seat. The speed of the car was obviously much faster than before. Hospital. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Chu Hanyu were sitting together and chatting about the marriage between Mo Zhongxiang and Su Yuan's. Chu Hanyu's eyes were full of envy. Oh my god, Su Yuan's is so romantic. I really want to own a big purple diamond. The guy outside will see you off. Zhang Xiao pointed at Chen Baiking, who was working outside. Chu Hanyu glanced outside the door and pursed his lips. I can think about it, miss. You figured it out. Are you relieved about Uncle An? Zhang Xiaoxiao asked Chu Hanyu with a smile. Chu Hanyu leaned lazily on the sofa and responded softly, yeah. Zhang Xiaoxiao leaned on Chu Hanyu's shoulder. Hanyu, Uncle An doesn't have you in his eyes, but Chen Baiking has you in his eyes. Everyone has a crush on someone when they were young and frivolous. Don't miss the person who is full of you. Chu Hanyu found that her feelings towards Chen Baiking had indeed changed. She hated Chen Baiking at first, but after returning from Tengtishan, her feelings were completely different. Xiao Xiao, when will you and Uncle Wu get married? Chu Hanyu asked Zhang Xiao. Zhang Xiao's little face collapsed on the spot. Last time she mentioned it in front of Fu Jianxiu, someone didn't show any expression at all. Should she mention it again? Wouldn't it show that she was particularly unreserved? Hanyu, Uncle Wu is just a piece of wood, he doesn't know how to be romantic, Zhang Xiaoxiao said with a slumped face. Have you hinted to Uncle Fu Wu? Well, Uncle Wu didn't react at all. My fifth uncle's emotional intelligence is so low. It shouldn't be. My fifth uncle is more careful about your affairs than anyone else. Chu Hanyu didn't believe that Fu Jianxiu was so stupid and didn't realize it. End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 512. Chapter 512. Chu Hanyu didn't believe that Fu Jianxiu's emotional intelligence was so low. Just talking about Zhang Xiao's birthday, the clothes he wore were designed by Fu Jianxiu himself, not to mention the low-level marriage. Fu Jianxiu would definitely be well prepared, and there would be no chance of everything not prepared. It's true, Uncle Wu is so stupid. Zhang Xiaoxiao told Chu Hanyu the process of reminding him that day. Chu Hanyu looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao with disbelief. When did Uncle Fu's emotional intelligence become so low? He said such an obvious hint that he would not be able to see it, so his emotional intelligence was really worrying. Why don't you give me a hint? Zhang Xiaoxiao raised his eyes to look at her, curled his lips and said, I don't want to hint, it's so disrespectful. Chu Hanyu. It's true that girls should be reserved, but if Fu Jianxiu never does anything, wouldn't there be a gap between the two of them? Sir, how about I go help you remind Uncle Fu? No, Zhang Xiaoxiao refused flatly. As a new era woman in real life, she must not do such an unreserved thing. Even if she was tricked into getting a marriage certificate in a daze, it would be nothing if she was asked to remind her of the proposal. She didn't want it. Chu Hanyu lowered his eyes and looked at Zhang Xiaoxi, and sighed helplessly, knowing that this girl was quarreling with him again. Xiao, I believe the fifth uncle will give you a surprise. You went to the court today and saw it? What do you want? Did you see the results? Well, Mo Ziwi Yuan has been sentenced to death. We just wait for Mo Zhangxiang to stabilize the overall situation of the Mo family, and then he can return to Ruchin with his fifth uncle. Haha, Chu Hanyu chuckled a few times. When I was young, you are now from the Mo family, and you still want to go back with Uncle Fu Wu. You are missing the best opportunity for Uncle Fu to propose to you. Zhang Xiao looked at Chu Hanyu in a daze. Chu Hanyu looked at her cute expression and smiled even more exaggeratedly. When I was little, I thought your emotional intelligence was similar to Uncle Fu Wu's. Zhangxi. It seems God is fair. When I was young, your IQ was off the charts but your emotional intelligence was not high. Chu Hanyu was finally able to show off in front of Zhang Xiaoxiao. She had always been crushed before, but now it was finally her turn to show off her skills. Zhangxi. Hanyu, don't just smile, tell me what you mean. Zhang Xiaoxiao had never admitted that she had a high emotional intelligence. She really couldn't keep up with Chu Hanyu in terms of emotional IQ. Chu Hanyu laughed for a while before he stopped laughing, and opened his mouth to explain Zhang Xiaoxiao's confusion. You are stupid. Now that you have returned to the Mo family, you can just be honest and not return to the Fu family. People outside don't know that you are with Uncle Fu Wu is getting married. If Uncle Fu doesn't propose to you, you won't go back to Fu's house for a day. If he fails to pick you up too many times, Uncle Fu will think about the reason. He will definitely think of the reason why he didn't propose. When the time comes, your purpose will not be the same. Is it achieved? Zhang Xiaoxiao frowned as she listened to what Chu Hanyu said. She felt that if she didn't go home by then, Fu Jianxiu would probably take her directly back to the Fu family without any negotiation. Also, she didn't want to talk to Fu Jianxiu. After separation, she didn't know how long she could stay here, so she cherished every minute and second she spent with Fu Jianxiu. When Baiyu Egwan came back, she had to leave. If she wasted it on such things, she would feel that this time not worth using. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 513. Chapter 513. Child, you heard me right. Although Uncle Fu Wu said that his EQ is not high, his IQ is high. You will understand it within 2 days. Chu Hanyu is very confident in Fu Jianxiu's IQ. Zhang Xiao smiled and said nothing. Chu Hanyu didn't understand Fu Jianxiu's temper very well. After being here for so long, she had a thorough understanding of the big boss's temper. Fu Jianxiu would never have such good patience. 1 day or 2 maybe, but if it lasts more than 3 to 5 days, she can think of the consequences with her toes. He said to Chu Han very spinelessly, I'd better go back to Ruchin with my fifth uncle. Chu Hanyu looked at Zhang Xiaoxiu's mournful expression and felt as if he hated iron and said, Xiao Xiao, don't be afraid of Uncle Fu. Uncle Fu may be cruel to anyone, but he will never be cruel to you. Zhang Xiao smiled stiffly. He said it was absolutely impossible to be cruel to her. When she first came here, she was almost strangled to death. Later, she also provoked the boss several times. Sweet love is not good. Why did she have to commit suicide? Chu Hanyu's words should not be heard or heard. I'd better go back to Ruchin with my fifth uncle, Zhang Xiaoxiao said in a very firm tone this time. Chu Hanyu looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao at the same time. Xiaoxiao, you are completely suppressed by Uncle Fu Wu, and you can't turn over. Come in the hour. The familiar and deep voice sounded in the ward. Both Zhang Xiaoxi and Chu Hanyu were shocked, especially Chu Hanyu's reaction was the most obvious. Fifth uncle. Uncle Fu. Chu Hanyu's face turned pale with fright. She had just said bad things about Fu Chenxiu. She was originally so afraid of Fu Chenxiu that it was good that she didn't cry out of fear. Fu Chenxiu's cold eyes glanced at Chu Hanyu faintly, and his eyes finally rested on Zhang Shishi's face. His thin lips moved slightly. Xiao Shi, come here. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Fu Chenxiu's unhappy face, stood up from the sofa, and walked over to someone. Uncle Wu. Why didn't you come to me first when you came back? Fu Chenxiu asked unhappily. There were bodyguards following Zhang Xiaoxi all the way. He knew her whereabouts. Didn't the heartless little one know that he was waiting for her? Zhang Xiao blinked his dark eyes. Uncle Wu, I checked the time and thought you might not have come to see you during your lunch break. Fu Chenxiu snorted coldly. Will he take a lunch break before she comes back? Of course there will be no lunch break. He has been waiting for her. This girl didn't even think about him at all. She went back to her ward and stayed there until now. Fifth uncle, are you angry that I didn't come to you as soon as I came back? Zhang Xiao said, pulling someone's clothes. Fu Chenxiu raised his mandible proudly. When a child goes out and comes home, he will tell his parents as soon as possible that he is back. You are so old, and you still need me to teach you. Zhang Shi. Chu Hanyu didn't dare to look at Fu Chenxiu even more. It was best not to offend such a jealous man. She couldn't afford to offend him. However, she really wanted to leave here. The air in the environment around Fu Wuxia became thinner just thinking about it. Wuo, someone come and rescue her. What is Chen Baiking doing? Fifth uncle, are you angry? Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Fu Chenxiu and couldn't help but smile at the corner of his mouth. No, it's time to change the dressing on the wound. Come with me to change the dressing. Fu Chenxiu would never admit that he was the one who came to see him in anger. End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 514. Chapter 514. Chapter 514. Exchange for a chance to survive. Zhang Xiao. I just changed the medicine in the morning. Guanyang said that it should be changed once a day. It seems that there is no need to change the dressing now. Fifth uncle. Fu Chenxiu paused in turning around and stared at Zhang Xiaoxi with a calm and handsome face. Zhang Xiaoxiao suddenly had a sudden change in his mind and swallowed the words that came to his lips alive. He originally wanted to say that Uncle Wu, you don't need to change the dressing, but changed it to, Uncle Wu, I will accompany you to change the dressing. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Fu Chenxiu left the ward, and Chu Hanyu felt like he was alive. Oh my god. Fortunately, she didn't say anything bad about Fu Chenxiu. If Fu Chenxiu heard this, she would probably be marked down by Uncle Fu Wu. It's terrible, it's terrible. By the way, isn't Chen Baiking at the door? Why didn't he notify her that Uncle Fu Wu was coming? Thinking of this, Chu Hanyu ran out of the ward from the sofa. His eyes wandered around for several times without seeing Chen Baiking. If he didn't see anyone, he was about to call someone. Chen Baiking, where are you? Chen Baiking was standing not far from Chu Hanyu with a few boxes of snacks and 2 cups of milk tea in his hand. Nayuniu, turn around and I'm behind you. Where have you been? Chu Han spoke fiercely to Chen Baiking. Chen Baiking shook the thing in his hand and said, how can you and Zhang have a good chat without snacks? I bought afternoon tea and you two can chat slowly. Chu Hanyu looked at the thing in his hand, and her heart instantly felt wrapped in a warm emotion. Chen Baiking gave her too many different feelings. I was called away by Uncle Fu Wu when I was little, so I don't need these snacks anymore, Chu Hanyu said. Then throw it away. Chen Baiking wanted to throw it in the trash can nearby, but Chu Hanyu stopped him. It's such a waste to throw it in the trash can. You can eat it with me. Okay. Chen Baiking raised the corners of his mouth. Zhang Shishi and Fu Chenxiu did not go back to the ward but went to the roof for a walk. Uncle Wu, you are not happy yet. I was wrong. I should have gone to find you as soon as I came back. I should have been so sullen. Smile. Fu Chenxiu looked at Zhang Ziashi, who had a good attitude about admitting his mistake, and said, the tense face looks a little better. Fifth uncle, Mo Ziwi Yuan has been sentenced. Let's go home in a few days. I miss grandpa so much. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw that his face looked much better and he continued to act coquettishly. Fu Chenxiu pinched her cheek, frowned and said, she lost weight. Zhang Xiao pinched his cheeks and said, is there any? No. It's still a lot of meat. Zhang Xiao lost weight during the time he was hospitalized. He used to have baby fat on his face, but it is gone now, and his face is a bit pointed. Fu Chenxiu squinted his eyes, then let her go and said something that made Zhang Ziashi puzzled, it's not good to envy others. Uncle Wu can give you the best. Zhang Xiao was confused when he heard it, and said in a cute voice, Uncle Wu, I don't envy others. Everything I have is because others envy me. Fu Chenxiu looked at her cute look and raised the corners of his mouth slightly, well, let's make others envy us even more in the future, okay. Good. We will go to Ruchin tomorrow. You go home and see the old man, he misses you very much. Prison. Mo Ziwi Yuan met Jin runs alone, are you ready with everything I asked you to prepare? Well, Mr. Mo, I have been closely watched by them recently. You'd better ask Su Jiashan to help me get rid of the people behind it, Jin Run said. End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 515. Chapter 515. I'll sign this and you take it to Su Jiashan and he will help you. Mo Ziwi Yuan signed the Mo's equity transfer contract. Rather than letting the shares fall into Mo Jiangxiang's hands, it would be better to give them to Su Jiashan. He helped get rid of Mo Ziwi Yuan. As long as he goes out, he can start over. Now he just wants this chance in life. Mr. Mo, this price is too high. We can exchange the others with Su Jiashan. Jin Runs disagreed with Mo Ziwi Yuan giving away Mo's shares for nothing. Mo Ziwi Yuan is a very decisive person. When it comes to the choice of life and money, he chooses life before money. Runs, these shares are nothing. As long as Su Jiashan can keep me safe, I can earn more than I do now. It's more, no big deal. Jin Runs knew that he could not persuade him. He was just a subordinate doing his job well. Mr. Mo, since you have decided, I will give the contract to Su Jiashan for signature. Runs, I believe you will do well. Mo Ziwi Yuan put all his hopes on Jin Runs. Mr. Mo, I will handle the things you told me, but the eldest young master called back to ask about your situation. I explained your situation, and the eldest young master only said one sentence. Jin Runs looked at him hesitantly. Mo Ziwi Yuan. What are you talking about? Mo Ziwi Yuan was definitely kind to his 2 sons. His own son, who was still very indifferent to him, called him and asked him. The softness deep in his heart was still shaken. Jinrun's pursed his thin lips and was very troubled before saying something. The eldest young master said that since you have broken the law, you must accept the punishment of the law. After Jinrun's finished saying this, he looked at Moziwiyuan with a little worry. After all, what his son said was also very ruthless. Although there was no emotion, they were father and son after all. Moziwiyuan was not as sad as he thought. It was normal for his eldest son to say such things. After all, he had no feelings. Also, his son hated him, otherwise he would not have gone to the ministry. The team didn't go home for years. You should be more careful with brother Runzahao. He is not as smart as his brother. As long as he doesn't get into trouble, that's fine. Mr. Mo, I know, I will finish what you told me. Jinruns came over holding the document. Jinruns came out of prison and called Su Jiashan directly. I have already obtained most things. Now you just need to kill Mo Zhongxiang. I will kill that woman, of course. You send me the equity of Mo's. First Su Jiashan ate his steak and looked at the woman next to him who was eating very elegantly. Okay, send me the address and get rid of my tail. After Su Jiashan hung up the phone, he looked at Zhou Yuling and said, your man is coming over. Do you want to see him? Zhou Yuling's eating hand trembled slightly. The man next to her was a complete pervert. She couldn't confront him, but she didn't want to be taken advantage of by him, and she didn't want Jinruns to be in danger. Really? If he wants to come, then come. What does it have to do with me? Zhou Yuling pretended not to care. Su Jiashang raised the corners of his lips mockingly and said in a cold voice, since it doesn't matter what you are nervous about, it doesn't matter whether he is alive or dead, right? That's right, I'm just waiting to get the divorce certificate. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 516. Chapter 516. Chapter 516. So good that it makes her feel guilty. Jinruns rushed to Su Jiashan's villa and saw the woman he had longed to meet. Of course, if Su Jiashan was not there, everything would be perfect. After enduring his inner emotions, Jinruns handed the document in his hand to Su Jiashan. Mo, the company's shares are all here, and the time agreed between Mo Zhongxiang and the shareholders is coming soon, so we have to hurry up. Su Jiashan took the document and saw Mo Ziwiyuan's signature at the end. He looked at Jinruns with satisfaction. You are indeed more reliable than that old guy Mo Ziwiyuan, but I still want Mrs. Fu. When are you going to give it to me? Jinruns bit his tongue and said, Fu is not that easy to take down. You should know better than me. Of course I know that the Fu family is not easy to get, but lawyer Jin needs me to remind you that Fu Jianxiu's people are looking for your woman. If they know that I took your woman in, I will get angry. Su Jiashan turned his gaze. Put it on Zhou Yuling. Jinruns used his body to block Zhou Yuling. His face was livid. Give me time, now I will help you get the Mo family completely. You should know that Fu family and you Suyuans won't be able to bite it off so easily. Of course I know, lawyer Jin, I believe the cooperation between us will be very pleasant. Su Jiashan went upstairs with the documents and left the space for them. Zhou Yuling looked at Jinrun's dark eyes filled with complicated emotions. She knew how much this man had done to protect him, and there was no need for him to push himself into the abyss for her. Jinruns looked at Zhou Yuling with soft eyes, completely different from the cold look in his eyes when facing Su Jiashan. Are you okay? Zhou Yuling's eyes were slightly moist. She had never cried for a man other than Fu Jianxiu, but she owed him this man after all. Her voice was hoarse and choked. Why do you want to help Su Jiashan? You already know that I can't escape Fu Jianxiu and Mo is at Ziu Yuan's pursuit. Well, I know. I know that I can't stop your decision. The only way is to protect you secretly. Even if it means making a deal with someone like Su Jiashan, I am willing to do it because that person is you. Jin runs with a gentle voice and firm eyes. He was determined to protect her without any regrets. Zhou Yuling's heart felt like it was being torn apart by thousands of ants. With dense pain, Jin runs, you know, I don't love you, I love Fujian Xiu. Jin runs stroked her cheek with his hand, I know, but this anger prevents me from liking you. I heard that you are injured, okay. Tears burst out of Zhou Yuling's eyes. All the hot tears fell on Jin Run's hand, and she cried, why are you so stupid? You're not stupid. Don't cry. I will help you get what you want. I will satisfy whatever you want. If you want Fujian Ziyuan, I will help you get it. Don't cry, okay. Jin Run's face was full of tears. He gently wiped the tears from her face. Jin runs, please listen clearly. I want to divorce you. After the divorce, you are not going to do anything for me. Just sign. Zhou Yuling is a very poisonous person, and she can't stand how kind Jin runs is to her. This kind of kindness was so good that her conscience felt guilty. She felt that she could not face this kind of kindness, so she took out the divorce papers and asked him to sign. She should not take advantage of this man's kindness to her. She would feel guilty and uneasy. I feel like I can't repay her even if I'm reincarnated for 10 lifetimes, so why should I be so nice to her? End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 517. Chapter 517. Chapter 517. Loyal Dog. Jin Runs looked at the divorce agreement thrown out by Zhou Yuling. His eyes were indifferent and his voice was firm, I will not sign the divorce agreement. If you were to marry Fujian Xiu, I would have signed the divorce agreement, but I won't sign it now. Zhou Yuling was almost driven crazy by him. Why didn't he sign it? Did he want her to go to hell? Jin Runs, I told you, don't I want you to help me if I don't understand. I know, but now I just want to protect you. Jin Runs is so stubborn that he doesn't want to think about anything in his life. The only thing he wants to do is to protect her safety and fulfill all her wishes, even if he becomes an executioner. As long as she is happy. Is it worth it? Zhou Yuling never dreamed in her life that a man would do this for her. Jin Run smiled gently, it's worth it, because you are the one I love. Zhou Yuling was completely defeated by Jin Run's, and even felt powerless. She found that he could not communicate with him, and she could not communicate with him. Jin Runs, I will fight for whatever I want. I can do it. Well, I never doubted you. After Zhou Yuling tiredly communicated with Jin Runs and sent the person away, Su Jiashan came downstairs and said strange words, Tisk, Tisk, your dog is really loyal. He knows that you like other men but he still goes out of his way. I will try my best to help you get that man. Idiots like this are really rare nowadays. Zhou Yuling was very harsh and angry when she heard Su Jiashan's words. She couldn't suppress the anger in her heart. He is not my dog, please be careful what you say. Yes, he is not your dog, he is your loyal dog. The ridicule in Su Jiashan's tone was so obvious. Zhou Yuling's eyes were burning with anger, I will make you pay for what you said today. With how you are now, Zhou Yuling, do you need me to remind you now that you are under my roof now? If you want to retaliate against me, you have to go out first before you can say such cruel words. Su Jiashan said to Ben. He didn't take Zhou Yuling seriously. In his eyes, Zhou Yuling was just a who couldn't even be called a dog. Zhou Yuling went straight upstairs without saying anything with a livid face. Su Jiashan looked down on him because he felt that he had no chips in his hands. If she really had no chips in her hands, would she have kept her life? Some people and things will be retaliated against sooner or later. Zhou Yuling left. Su Jiashan drank wine and lazily sat on the sofa. He took out his mobile phone and called, get rid of Mo Zhangxiang. Send more people to get rid of Su Yuan's people first. Good. After the other party hung up the phone, Su Jiashan sent a text message to Jin Runs, "Tonight, Mo Zhangxiang will die." Jin Runs received this message while driving his car. There was thunder in the sky, and the white lightning almost split the sky. It looked very penetrating. Thunder during the day is the weirdest and scariest thing. Mo Zhangxiang went to take a shower with soreness all over his body. He checked that it was still early and received a call from the company at the same time. "Mr. Mo, if there is a problem with the real estate project, please come and deal with it." "We can't deal with it." "Are you talking about the Emerald Bay project?" "Yes, there was an accident on the construction site. We need to go to the site." Lawyer Lai has also gone over. The secretary called Mo Zhangxiang while cleaning up. The most feared thing in real estate projects is human life, which will directly affect the sales of the real estate. End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 518. Chapter 518. Chapter 518. Proper Handling. Mo Zhangxiang frowned tightly. "I will arrive at Emerald Bay in an hour. You go to the hospital, and I will call Lawyer Lai to understand the situation at the scene." "Okay." Mo Zhangxiang endured the discomfort, changed her clothes, picked up the car keys on the bedside table and wanted to leave. Her waist was pulled back by a strong force, and a man's deep voice sounded in her ears, "Go there. There is something urgent in the company. You should take a nap and I will come back to have dinner with you after I take care of it." Mo Zhangxiang calmed the man's emotions. Su Yuan's narrow eyes were half squinted. "You're not allowed to go. I'll be back in a while." "Be good." "I can't go there now, so I can't reassure you." Mo Zhangxiang shook the ring on his hand, just to reassure him. "You always run away as soon as you fall asleep, and you never have a good sleep with me." Su Yuan's voice sounded aggrieved. Mo Zhangxiang. How could she have run away? He had eaten her to the bone that time. "Be good and stop making trouble. The company really has something going on, and people have died. If I don't deal with the shareholders who have objections to me, they will not pass the test of me." Mo Zhangxiang clapped someone's finger. "I'll go with you." "No, you still have to pack up and it will take a long time. If you want to come, just drive to Emerald Bay to find me." Mo Zhangxiang glanced at the clock. She was pestered by Su Yuan's for 5 minutes. "If I don't see you coming back before 7 o'clock, I will come find you." Su Yuan's let go of someone and let him go. Mo Zhangxiang kissed him on the cheek and said, "You're so good. I will try to come back as soon as possible." Mo Zhangxiang drove to the construction site. There were many police officers and migrant workers gathered together. They should have come to understand the situation at the scene. Lai Nan listened and followed. Mo Zhangxiang listened for a while, probably because the rain this afternoon came suddenly. The worker lost his balance and fell directly from the 8th floor. He is still being rescued in the hospital. When Mo Zhangxiang showed up, Lai Nan pulled her aside and spoke to her in a low voice, "We all buy insurance for our workers. Just take the normal insurance route. The only trouble now is that these workers are scared. It would also be bad if bad news would be publicized and affect sales." Mo Zhangxiang is now particularly grateful that he and Luo Yi have dealt with this kind of matter together. "Sister Nan, please see if this migrant worker has any difficulties at home. Our company will pay all the medical expenses first, and wait for the insurance money to compensate. Just give them an appropriate increase in the wages of the workers, and then ask if there are any particularly well-known masters in Chengdu and let them perform rituals." Then I learned all this from Luo Yi. Seeing that she was not panicked at all, Lai Nan knew that she had encountered this kind of situation before, so he was not so worried that she would not handle it well. "I've dealt with it with Master, so I know that Sister Nan has been you recently. I just do my job well, and I should do things for you after receiving your salary. However, These people are always clamoring to see you, so you should appease them. Mo Zhangxiang glanced at the people standing behind him, turned around and bowed deeply at 90 degrees, "Thank you all for your hard work. We are also surprised that this happened. We will handle the follow-up work properly." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 519. Chapter 519. Chapter 519. Mo Zhangxiang is dead. Mo Zhangxiang's attitude was so good at the beginning that all those people who wanted to make a fuss didn't know what to do. These people had also done things at Mo's construction site before, and of course they didn't know what to do. Something happened, but I had never been treated like this before. They were always sent away with the least amount of money. This attitude now is really surprising. You will really cover the medical expenses and follow-up compensations. Ilio looks like he is going to become a vegetative state. He has 2 children to raise. You can keep your word. Mo Zhangxiang didn't understand why these people would ask this, but he answered patiently, "Even if you become a vegetative state, you can compensate as much as you need. This is the most basic thing. How can you not compensate?" The migrant worker was a little excited now and said angrily, "What you said, Mr. Mo, is nice. A friend of mine had an accident on your construction site the year before last. The company tricked him into signing some kind of contract, but in the end it only compensated him 100,000 yuan, that's 10,000 yuan to buy a leg. You guys can go there and spend more than that for one night, but you ruined my friend's life." Without even thinking about it, Zhang Xiao knew that it was Mo Ziyuan who did something he needed. "Brother, don't get excited yet. Write down the details you know. I will hold a special meeting for your matters. You don't worry, Mo Zhangxiang, will definitely solve your problems." This is what you said. If there is no result, don't blame me. We will go and make a fuss unceremoniously. This is not to blame for the migrant workers, because they have been deceived too many times. They obviously rely on their own labor to make a living. But they have been deceived many times. They are not well educated, but they can still calculate their salary. I am the CEO of Mo's, so what I promised you was naturally a miscalculation. Mo Zhangxiang gave them a reassurance. It was Mo Zhangxiang's 3 guarantees that made those people no longer suspicious and chose to believe her. "Since you have said this, we will not embarrass you, but we still have to ask our journalist friends to be witnesses there and follow up on the follow-up reports." "Yes, we accept it. The subsequent insurance procedures will be handled by this lawyer Lai. I believe all of you who are interested in the rule of law program have seen her." Some people had seen Lai Nan, and he felt more relieved now. "We believe in you and hope that your leader will handle the follow-up work well." After Mo Zhangxiang comforted those people, he glanced at his reporter friends and said, "You can ask about what happened here. I will not respond to anything else." The reporter had already recorded the scene just now, so he had nothing to ask. Just as he turned around to leave, he heard Lai Nan yell, "Zhangxiang, be careful." Lai Nan's words were already too late. Several steel pipes hit Mo Zhangxiang directly. Blood mixed with rainwater. Everyone present was frightened. Only Lai Nan remained calm and said, "Call an ambulance." "What are you doing?" Mo Zhangxiang's appearance is a bit scary. He was just recovering from a serious illness, but now he is suffering from such injuries. He doesn't know whether he can be saved or not. The news of Mo Zhangxiang's injury directly became a live broadcast and was broadcast on various platforms. When Su Yuans received the call at home, the tail of his eyes instantly turned scarlet. When he rushed to the hospital, the doctor regretfully told him, "Mo Zhangxiang dead." End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 520. Chapter 520. Chapter 520. Corpse. What are you talking about? Say it again if you have the guts. Su Yuan's eyes were bulging scarlet red, and his whole person looked like he had run out of hell. It was eerie and terrifying. The doctor was lifted up by Su Yuan's, his feet were off the ground, and he was shaking with fear. Family member, please calm down. It's not that we don't rescue the patient, but that the patient was already dead when he was brought here. Breathe. We have carried out a series of resuscitations but failed to save her. You should go in and take a last look at her. Su Yuan's bit his cheek, all the contours of his face tightened. Go and save her. If you can't save her, I'll kill you. The doctor's back was shaking and soaked with sweat. The man in front of him did not look like an ordinary medical troublemaker. Every word he said made him feel like he could do what he said. Family members, you must calm down. It's really not that I don't rescue him, it's that the patient has lost his heartbeat and pulse. Su Yuan's directly pressed the doctor against the wall and stared at the doctor fiercely. He had completely lost his mind. I told you to save her, don't you understand? The doctor's back hit the wall and hurt. Family member, please calm down, calm down. Save her. Su Yuan's roared, like a wounded lion, howling and mourning. The doctor has discovered that something is wrong with him, and his persuasion is of no use. He can only hope that the hospital's security department will arrive soon, otherwise his life will not be saved. Sir, no one has gone to see the body of the lady inside. A nurse risked her life and said next to Su Yuan's. Su Yuan's scarlet eyes were filled with emotion, and his voice was hoarse and deadly. Where is she? Inside the emergency room. The nurse pointed in the direction. Su Yuan's then let go of the doctor, his whole body filled with a sense of sadness, and walked step by step into the emergency room. The doctor slumped against the wall and sat on the ground. He glanced at the nurse gratefully and said, Nurse Che, thank you. Dr. Tong, just hope you are fine. I saw the man just now. He was the one who begged Dr. Chu to save his lover some time ago. Unexpectedly, he was gone in just a few days. This is really unpredictable. It can be seen that this man loves that woman very much, but people cannot be resurrected. We have done everything we can. I also wanted to save the woman, but unfortunately she was not breathing when she was delivered. There is nothing I can do. The doctor also said with regret. As doctors, they want to save more patients from the hands of death every day. Dr. Tong's patient is not breathing, so I can't blame you for not saving her. This may be God's will. Nurse Che comforted Dr. Tong. The man who entered the emergency room had already come out with the woman in his arms. The woman's body was not completely stiff. If it weren't for the blood-covered clothes, some people might think that she was just asleep, but they participated in the rescue together. The nurse in the car knew that this woman was dead, with no pulse, breathing, or heartbeat. Master Su, the car is outside. Should we go back to Rui directly or go there? The men who came to pick up Su Yuan's looked at Su Yuan's. All the nerves in his body were tense. Now Master Su is not angry at all. He feels like a walking corpse. Go back to the Rongcheng villa. Are you ready with the things I asked you to prepare? Su Yuan's asked. End of this chapter.